Thank you so much for staying tuned to this channel. If you just joined us, this is This Morning on ITV. You can call it TMI. You'll be right on point. Try to say begins at home. Whatever you want to do, you have to really start off from home. All right, thank God that the Edo State governorship election is coming up next year. But machinery is already in motion to make sure that somewhere along the line, participants, stakeholders, they have been projecting their aspirations, desire, you just name it. You can cut across education, cut across infrastructure, cut across the civil service, cut across so many other facets of the society and, of course, the economy. Well, in this particular segment, taking a look at the off-cycle election, the readiness of stakeholders. You know, we have an off-cycle election in IMO, KOGI, and of course in BAYELSA. So that will be another tough test, so to speak right now, in quote, for INEC. How do you think they will come out from there? Should Nigerians be happy about the outcome of the election that they will conduct? The readiness of stakeholders. With me here in the studio to talk about this, a political analyst and entrepreneur, a vibrant youth. Join me to welcome Fares. Welcome to TMI.
Thank you so very much.
I appreciate your coming.
Good morning, viewers.
We're expecting the likes of Bashir Kadri. Don't forget to mention also Destiny Asabo. What about Samuel Ehigato? And a list of other persons that have been finding their way straight down to the studio to really share their thoughts and, of course, their opinions on this particular talk. But before we go into the off-season election, something happened over the week about one society primary school in, is it Uzama community, you know,
Yes.
the local government. I mean, it's like that school. Though we're like, digressing, but a man so passionate about education, the state of that school, what I saw that really prompted me to do one or two things. I mean, it's like, it is annoying. It is not satisfactory. I mean, what do you have to say about that?
Well, you are very correct. It's embarrassing to see that we have that kind of school, but we also understand the challenges that the state government is facing. There are over 2,000 schools in public schools in Edo State, and it's not. And I don't think any government can just renovate the whole schools at once. But I can tell you that the state government is doing pretty well in trying to reposition basic education in Edo State. And Edo State is lucky to be one of those states that have basic education up to the GSS level. So it puts more strain on the government in terms of having to capture more public schools and more buildings, because you're not covering both primary schools and junior secondary schools. And I think, it's, I must also commend the current chairman of SUBEB. The lady is doing fantastically well. She has really repositioned the infrastructure around public schools. I know of so many schools that they are currently renovating, which I have personally gone around some of them and see the quality work that she is doing there. So this is one of those schools, and I also want to commend them for the prompt response that she took on this issue, because she just, when this issue of Society Primary School came out, she took very prompt actions to make sure that the condition is remedied to a large extent.
So you're saying that have they fixed the school now? Because the state of that school, what I saw on the social media platform, wasn't really happy about it. Yeah, so what have they done about it before we go to discussion?
A lot of people are not happy about it, but I think from what they've done so far in terms of, because there was an existing building,
yes,
in the compound. I think the state has quickly taken over that building, and they also relocated the student to another school, and they demolished the structure, and they want to immediately start building a new block of 6 classes. I'm not a spokesman for SUBEB, but these are the information I was able to gather by speaking to relevant stakeholders within the educational sector, and I must commend them for the prompt action they have taken to remedy the situation. I'm hoping that they can capture more of those kind of schools in the next action plan that they're having so that we won't have to see something like that again in Edo State for a long time.
So you're saying that everything is good now?
Yes, yes.
Everything is cool?
Yes, yes.
The children will not cry anymore. They
yes,
don't need to kneel down to beg anymore because
yes,
it was heart-rending. I was like, what in the world is going on?
You can say that again. It was, but you know, sometimes we give government, we give people in government, we criticize them a lot, we push them a lot. But when we see that they also take prompt actions, we also should
give them kudos.
To say kudos to them. And that's why I must say kudos to the chairman of SUBEB, the current chairman of SUBEB. She has done excellently well. She has taken SUBEB to a brand new level. And when I see the level of infrastructure she's putting in place, the level of organization she has organized the place, I must keep on commending her. She has done a very good job.
All right. And of course, thanks to the governor also for doing something by putting her there to act in that stead. Well,
she's a square peg in a square hole.
All right, fine. Well, thank God that this should have been handled. The governor saw that clip. I was, come on, what is this? To me, that was a death trap, but it's been demolished. Like what you rightly said, the governor, of course, SUBEB, they are working on it. Outside the primary school pupils, don't worry, we are watching, okay? Your school will soon be okay, to be fixed in no time, and definitely you go back to school, all right? Stay calm, stay calm. Okay, now to the issue of discourse for this morning, off-season election, next month, right? 3 states in Nigeria will be having the election: BAYELSA, KOGI, IMO. Be having what we call this off-cycle, off-season election, taking a look at preparedness of our stakeholders. But the reports we are getting right now from these 3 states, they are not encouraging. Security challenges. Take it up from there.
Well, the security challenges is not peculiar to the 3 states. I think the federal government has not done very well in terms of securing Nigeria. And that's the repercussion of what we are seeing in states and elections. Ordinarily, a state election, one state having an election, shouldn't be much of a security challenge because of the underfunding of the police in Nigeria, because of the lack of investment in critical infrastructure and security-wise. That's why we have challenges when it comes to manning elections. Ordinarily, states like Bayelsa having an election shouldn't be much of a logistical challenge for INEC. It's not like a countrywide election. It's just a one state election season, off season, where the INEC and security can channel in their resources and their time and put things right. But because over the years, the previous administration and this current administration hasn't really done much in tackling the security challenges that we are facing in the country. So that's why you see that when it comes to election like this, everywhere is boiling, it's hot. People are apprehensive because they don't know what will happen. So a lot of people are scared. People don't want to even come out for the elections because they don't really know what will happen that day. And then, coupled with the fact that Nigeria is going through huge economic challenges right now, massive economic challenges. People are hungry, people are desperate, people are suffering. So you put that together, it puts more pressure on security and all of it. Because when you have a hungry people, you say, or a hungry man is an angry man. That's how you say it. And you also, when you have a hungry people, you also say they are an angry people. Because the people are hungry. So I foresee, I would talk about more the Bayelsa election because I know that it might not be too much of a challenge because from what we are seeing, it obviously looks like it's going to be a one-party show in Bayelsa. But that cannot be said in IMO and KOGI State. But in Bayelsa, it's surely looking like it's going to be a one-party show.
But see, they have this intra-party infraction in Bayelsa. If you take a look at IMO, also the story is not far-fetched. In KOGI, you know the story thoughts part. Now, if you take a look at what INEC is saying, there seems to be confusion on the mode of transmission of result.
Yes.
At first, the commissioner, well, the resident commissioner in, is it Bayelsa State or something of that nature, said, look, everything will be manually done. All of a sudden, some days later, the chairman, Mahmoud Yakubu, said, no, it is not going to be manually done. It's going to be electronically transmitted. Between manual and electronic, what do you think Nigeria should prepare their hearts for? Don't forget that also this will not cause confusion, so to speak, in the national election.
Yes. You see, I'm surprised that INEC as an institution will still be coming out with conflicting and confusing information like this. Let's go back to the elections conducted, the off-cycle elections conducted in 2020. We had a perfect election. The election was done, transmission of result was done electronically. I was in my polling unit that day. I voted, and I could see that before I even left my polling unit, I see that other places where people have voted, the results are already reflecting. So it became very hard because what that electronic transmission result does is that you vote at the polling unit, and your result is uploaded at that polling unit. So everybody gets to see it. It's more harder to change it at the ward collation center, because what they do most times is that they finish voting and they'll just take the results sheets to the ward collation center. And when they get there, they bring in talks and they harass the opposition away from the collation center. And then they will mutilate the result and change the figures. And when you see most of the result sheets, they are mutilated, there are a lot of cancellations and all of that. So that's been the case. And then before INEC came in with this transmission of results from the polling unit, which was supposed to be a perfect idea until the same INEC messed it up in the presidential election.
How did they mess it up? Is it their fault that they have issues electronically transmitting the results?
We saw the...
So they have issues with it?
Mr. Marshall, we
issues.
We saw the abracadabra that happened in the national election.
Is it the abracadabra or what technical hitches?
Yes. No, you can't call that technical hitches.
According to them, it's technical.
INEC is one of the biggest institutions in Nigeria.
Yes.
One of the biggest institutions in Nigeria. And INEC is one of the most funded institutions in Nigeria. If you compare the money that INEC was given in the presidential election, over 500 billion naira. Over 500 billion naira. I'm not sure the federal government put 500 billion naira in infrastructure within that same period that they gave INEC 500 billion. So the budget of INEC was 500 billion for that last year. And you can't have that kind of huge resources because they say to whom much is given, much is expected. You can't have that kind of resources given to you and then you come out with technical hitches. INEC should have the capacity to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different systems that they will operate with. So that when one system is having issues, they can switch to the other one. Or when the other one is having issues, they can switch to the other one. They had the resources, they had the money, they had the time. They had the time from 2019 to prepare for 2023 elections. But we could see that it was deliberate, because if you see that when they were posting those results, a lot of them were blurred. So it was obviously deliberate. Somebody
if you say it was deliberate, that means you are like, how will I put it down, insinuating? I would not insinuation.
No, but that's what we
but
saw.
You're not, because you're not in the technical department of INEC. You don't know what went wrong.
But we saw it. We saw it. You saw where results were deliberately blurred out. And we saw the same process in Edo when INEC used the same system in Edo. Everything went smoothly. In Edo, it went smoothly. And we all praised INEC. This is what we're talking about. When people do the right thing, we should praise them. When they do the wrong thing, we should give them sticks also. Because we saw it in Edo in 2020. It was perfect. It worked very well. People voted. People in the diaspora could follow the results in their units. They were not here. They could see the results. People could even collate results by themselves inside their own houses and know who is winning and who is not winning. So it's easy. Now, just look at it. I was reading in the newspaper recently and I saw that 97% of election that INEC did, the elections that INEC did last time, 97% of it went to court. So you have only 3% of the election, 3%
unchallenged results.
Only 3%. And the reason is not far-fetched. When you continue to do elections, when you to operate in a way that you do something right in some places and you do something wrong in some places, you're going to have those kind of litigations everywhere. Right. INEC is the agency that has the most litigation in Nigeria. The cases against INEC, no other institution in Nigeria has those kind of cases, not even the police. So a lot of people are going to court against INEC everywhere because of things like this. Even this election we're talking about in KOGI, IMO, and BAYELSA, INEC had ample time to prepare for it, ample time to test run their equipment, ample time to do mock elections and to make sure everything is running smoothly. So that when it comes to the election, you don't start talking about challenges to an election just 2 or 3, 4 weeks to the election. It doesn't make sense.
All right. You just hold on. I want to go for a break. When we return, we'll continue with this discussion, talking about the off-cycle election. IMO, BAYELSA, KOGI, the readiness of stakeholders. We're taking a look at the readiness of INEC, comparing their performance in the previous election, juxtaposing it with the comments made by a resident electoral commission and BAYELSA state president of FAGA saying, look, it's like we're going to go manual, but the professor, the chairman of the body, said, disregard what this man is talking about. We are going electronic. People are like asking, can we say trust INEC? That is on one hand. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
TMI, every opinion counts.
Thank you so much for staying tuned to this channel. If you just joined us, this is TMI. You can call it This Morning on ITV. You'll be right on point. And we're taking a look at the off-cycle election that will be taking place in BAYELSA, IMO, and of course, KOGI. Preparedness of stakeholders. We are taking up the discussion with INEC. How ready are they? Don't forget about, some call it fiasco of event that took place with presidential and of course the national election. Some are saying, is this an opportunity for INEC to remedy itself? As we're talking about that, there was this information given out by FAGA which states that they may just go manual. And of course, the chairman of INEC, Yakubu, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, came out to tell Nigerians and the world that we should disregard what the FAGA said. We should focus on electronic transmission of results. And Nigerians are wondering if we should go back to that electronic transmission of results. I don't think we're going to see what we saw during the national election. And of course, I have Fares Okbere here with me. And just joining us right now in the studio, he is a vibrant youth and entrepreneur and politician. Join me to welcome Destiny Asaba. Destiny, welcome to TMI Sunday's edition. I appreciate your coming.
Thank you very much.
All right, now we're taking a look at INEC's readiness. Fares, I already throw more light on it, but would like to get your own view and opinion between manual and electronic transmission of results in this off-cycle election. Remember, BAYELSA, IMO, and KOGI's election will be coming up on the 11th of November. So, what do you think should be the mode of transmission of results?
Personally, I think the electronic process is what is more suitable for a free, fair, and credible election if things are done well. And I think this is also the time for...
No, if things are done well, are you envisioning that things will not be done well? Because that if is like, a conditional statement.
Of course. When I say if things are done well, if the process is not duly followed, I think there will be no difference between the manual and that of the electronic process. You understand? So that is why I said if things are done well, the rules and regulations should be followed. Because in every election, there are always rules and regulations that guides the electoral process. So if these rules and regulations are being followed, then the desired results will be there. But if you put aside these rules and regulations, it is as good as we are using the manual, or we are going back to the manual
means of transmission.
So that is it.
All right. Now, from what you said, if things are done well,
Yes.
signifying doubt, why would you want to doubt a process that some says that is the best form of electronic transmission, or will I say rather transmission of results?
Because we saw it in the presidential election. It was supposed to be clearly an electronic means of a mode of transmission of the result. But what we saw was what I would call an abracadabra. We saw it. It was
abracadabra yet again.
It was obvious to the eyes that it wasn't done well, and they came out with the excuse that they had technical hitches. But an agency that got over 500 billion naira that same election year shouldn't be talking about logistical challenges, because they had the resources, they had the time, they had the manpower to make sure that we didn't experience what we experienced. People voted and they were waiting to see results posted. But what we saw was something else. You know, for hours, the system was completely shut down, only for it to resume days later, and the results that were posted are results that have been changed, mutilated, you know, results sheets are incomplete, unsigned result sheets. When you have those kind of things in an election, people will always challenge the process. I'm still waiting to see INEC conduct an election in Nigeria, a gubernatorial election, a presidential election, where the parties will not bother to go to court, because the process will be so transparent, so clean, that the people will say, okay, I lost, and I lost squarely. The reason why you have people always challenging the process, challenging INEC, challenging the elections, are because of the lack of transparency. The process also be seen as very transparent, so that those who lost can accept easily that they lost, and they can go home and prepare for next elections. But when you do it the way the INEC have always done, I'm not saying that INEC have not done well in some elections. They've done well in some elections. They've done well in some elections. But you see, a larger percentage of the elections that INEC has conducted have ended up with challenges. And most of those challenges are challenges that INEC have not over the years learned from. Because INEC, since 1999, have been conducting elections. They should have by now been able to make sure that at least off-season elections, that shouldn't be an issue. Because it's not even a national election, it's just one state. So
not about 3 states right now.
No, I mean, they're not going to do the 3 states in a day.
Yeah.
So they're going to do it one state at a time. So they have the time, they have the resources, they have the money, they have the people, they have everything that they can pump into it and say, okay, let's bring out the best, so that Nigerians will have confidence in INEC. Because there's no confidence in the electoral system in Nigeria. Zero confidence. How many elections?
But some do have confidence in the electoral system.
Who are those?
They are not condemning it.
I mean, I don't know those who you say they have confidence. I'm sure those who are benefiting from the errors of INEC will always tell you that, oh, INEC has done a good job. You know, but those who are looking at it from the outside, who try to measure what INEC is doing, look at the observers that came for the presidential election. Look at their report. It's damaging to INEC as an institution. It's damaging to INEC as an institution. You know, because if INEC learned from lessons from their previous elections, over time, people have complained about, you should have a unified system of how you operate. You can't operate manual today, then tomorrow you operate electronic, next tomorrow you operate manual. No, you have a unified system and say, okay, this is what works for us. Let's do it. So that Nigerians will have confidence in the system.
All right. Now, but in fairness to them, before that election was conducted in previous elections, INEC came out to cry out to Nigerians, please, beg politicians to allow us work. That was a comment coming out from that particular institution. Beg politicians to allow us do our job. And that comes to your table, both of your politicians. But I want to take a first shot at it. Politicians' interference. That was INEC cried about. What do you have to say about it?
In regards to that,
Yes.
I think the INEC, they have made themselves flexible and bendable to the politicians. Because you are the one in charge, you shouldn't be told how to manage your own affair. So in the system where probably politicians now come into the system to tell you what you ought to do, or trying to drive you from the normal system which you ought to operate and bend you to a way that is favorable to him, that means you have made yourself available. If you stood your ground, if you follow the rules and regulations, if you follow the principles that are laid down, then I see no reason why you have to concur to whatever is coming, be it pressure or whatever. Because you have a name. They say good name is better than riches. So you have a name that you want to protect. What do you want to be remembered for? Just like some people, almost everybody, we are complaining about this INEC process and all that, because they are failed to improve on the loopholes of every previous elections. So the idea of saying that politicians should be begged for them to do their job, I don't think that is something to be talked about. I don't know.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Before I come to Ferraz, let me ask you a question, Destiny. Have you ever been threatened?
Of course.
As in, write this or else?
Of course.
I've been pushed to the word that you have two options. Either take the money in some serious, scary, adverse situation, you take a bullet or two. I mean, it has happened several in our elections. So what do you have to say about that? That these are orchestrated by politicians, and that's why they're crying out.
I want to
let
shock
us do
you.
our job.
I want to shock you.
Yes.
Are you aware the just concluded local government election I contested? And few days to that election, I was called to put together everything that I've spent and all that to ensure that, okay, I will be paid off and this and that. But I stood my ground. I said no.
Because you're a politician, you're not INEC staff or ad hoc staff. What do you have to lose? Compared
stood-
to those people we're
stood-
talking
no,
about.
You're talking about threats.
Yes.
I knew, if I remember what I went through or what I faced, you know, but I stood my ground that no, let's go to the pool. But I'm still here today. And the same person who called me then, I think that integrity will be there. It's just like you that if you sell your brother, even the buyer
Will not trust
will
you.
not trust you. So that is it.
All right, now the same question be thrown at you, Ferraz. Let us do our job. He said as a politician, he stood his ground. We're talking about ad hoc staff because the good news is ad hoc staff. These are the persons that have families to feed. These are the persons that have dreams, aspirations, and goals. And here you are. Two options. Take this cash or you take a bullet in some dastardly situation. Are you going to blame them for falsifying or writing whatever they want to write?
You know, INEC is just looking for an excuse. If INEC is serious, let INEC come out and say the politicians that are offering them take money or take a bullet. And bring it out. Let Nigerians be aware of the people who are doing that. You can't be saying that behind the scene. Come outside and say it. That Mr. A from Party A or Mr. B from Party B offered us money and offered our staff money and said if they don't change results. But we see all of that every time.
And who will not guarantee their safety after that comment?
So who is going to...
Who will not guarantee their safety after coming to say Party A, Party B, Mr. B did this to me? Who will guarantee their safety?
That is why
Do you know
we have...
on
that is
that
why we
note-
have...
Hold on, he has the floor. Come
That
back
is why
to
we
you.
have security agencies in Nigeria. What is the job of security agencies in Nigeria? What is the job of the EFCC? What is the job of
The DSS and the rest of
DSS, the
them.
anti-corruption agencies in Nigeria? What is their job? It's to swing into action. So if I come out and say, I feel threatened, like Mr. Sabo threatened me, I should be able to prove it. And the security agency must be able to investigate and provide and make sure that they provide enough security for me. That is it. So it is the job of the security agencies. So INEC coming out to say
Politicians, let us do
are
our job.
interfering. Politicians will always cry foul. If they cry foul, it doesn't necessarily mean that that is 100% interference. What INEC has not done properly is they have not been able to create a platform where elections will be seen as free, fair, and credible. When you have those kind of things, no amount of intimidation by politicians, no amount of harassment by politicians, no amount of phone calls will change a process. If you have a transparent process where elections are, you go to the unit level and people cast their ballots at the unit level. When the elections, when they cast their ballots, the INEC officials are there on time, people are there on time, they vote. When the votes are done, they are counted, they are entered into the INEC system there at the unit level. And if it's a state election, you have a state collation center where the results are, you have a large screen. You say, oh, unit 1, Oredo, result, bam. Unit 5, Eastern Northeast, Ward 5, bam. It comes in, you see it on the, so the whole media houses They are there. They are beaming into that. So everybody is seeing it. The whole world is watching the elections. The whole world is watching how the results are coming in from the unit levels. You cut out this issue of unit collation, ward collation, local government collation. Now, let me tell you one thing that happens when INEC is doing elections. I vote in Eastern North East Ward 7, Unit 5. So I cast my vote in my unit. Then we wait. When the elections are done, we will not escort my results from my unit to the Ward Collation Center.
Do you need to escort the results?
That's what I'm telling you. So we'll not escort it. We'll not escort it so that hoodlums do not hijack the elections or the result. We escort it to the Ward Collation Center. And once to the Collation Center, they recollect the result again. We escort the result again from the Ward Collation Center to the Local Government Collation Center, where the result is collated again. From the Local Government Collation Center, we will now escort the result again down to the State Collation Center. All of this should not be if INEC know how to put in proper electronic system that works. Because the results that matter are the results from the units where people come and vote. Those collations at the ward, collations at the local government, collations at the senatorial zone can be done electronically. Because if you get all the results from the ward, from the units, you tally them at a central system and announce your winner. The results are there, the sheets are there. All they need to do is to bring those sheets and they bring those sheets and then you
compare contrast. Yes.
Yeah, so what you have on your at your state collation or at your national collation, and if it's not, you declare the result. Why do you have to finish voting, escort results to ward collation, escort result to local government collation, sometimes escort the result to central collation? Every time, and all of these are because of the failures of INEC, because of the failures of the security agencies. That's why people now have to resort to having to protect their votes by themselves. How many countries do you see that people will vote? In the US, we all followed the last election when Donald Trump lost. We were watching the election. You saw the national collation where all tuned to CNN. You were seeing it. A unit result will come in from this. It will come in from that. You will see it. 87% of results have coming from this place. 50% of results are coming from this state. They are not beaming their set. Okay, they are waiting for this county where they are still having maybe a million votes, and most of those this county they are pro Republican or they are pro Democrat. So I cannot tell what will come out from there. But here you have people will be driving columns of cars escorting one unit results.
How about to you, Destiny? Because it's really funny. And that is what INEC is saying that they want to do. They are trying to do, but according to them, Nigerian factor. Pick it up from there.
Nigeria factor. INEC from day one has always failed us. So I just think they are trying to, like my brother said.
If you say day one, they've always been them, you're generalizing. Many people will not agree to that statement.
Most of the times, you know, when the disadvantage is more than the advantage, then disadvantage takes over. You understand? So the truth is, they are trying to look for an excuse, trying to place themselves in a defensive angle. But we are also we are out there watching, so we are not fools. We know if you see white, you should know this is white. If you see black, you should know this is black. So if you see what is right, you know what is right. And if you see what is wrong, you know what is wrong. So trying to tell us what is right, or trying to paint what is right, what is wrong rather, to what is right, is what is taking us where we are going now. And that is why all eyes, you see all eyes, just like this election that is coming now, on the 11th of November, all eyes now are on INEC. So why always INEC? Because they have failed to carry out their responsibility well. They are laid down principles, like I said before. If these principles are followed, then there won't be issues. You understand? But in the aspect where you see after voting in your unit, it is an electronic process, but they will tell you they want to transmit at the verge of transmitting the results Probably there's no network. I remember the past House of Assembly election. To the extent we had to, I shared hotspots network
with our next staff.
With our next staff to ensure that that result scale through. You understand? Okay, why will you, like my brother said, why will you be complaining of technical issues? Now, I am talking about this. You will also be surprised again that this same thing that we are talking about will also repeat itself. These are loopholes that has already occurred before now, which you, if it was an unplanned circumstance, by right, you have to go and work on it to ensure that it doesn't repeat itself. But you see that it has become something that is normal. You understand? So just to look for, it is more like a way of, it has become their way of carrying out elections. You understand? So it will be difficult if all of these things are not being corrected. It won't work. It won't work.
Wow. It won't work. We have 3 states now working for, or waiting rather for after the election. We'll analyze a little bit of INEC from what both of you are like, talked about or saying is like you have little or no trust in this body. I mean, now, what do you think they should do to earn the trust of Nigerians?
Yeah, like I said before, INEC have the time. They have the resources. So, for the next elections that are coming, not even this off-season elections, we're talking about 2027, I need to start preparing. Learn from the mistakes that you made in these elections, whether man-made mistakes, whether technology mistakes, whether logistical mistakes, whatever the mistakes are. Learn from it. Start preparing for the next elections. There should be no excuse. You can't have an agency that Nigerians are giving so much money to, so much, taxpayers' money. And all you do is come out with one excuse or the other for failure. And it has been so since 1999. Every election year, you have INEC come out with one excuse why they failed, one excuse why the thing didn't work, one excuse why things didn't work the way it's supposed to be. It's about time to reorganize INEC as an institution. Make INEC truly independent. Make INEC an institution that Nigerians will be confident of. I know that we have weak institutions in Nigeria. The institutions are not very strong. But an institution that is in charge of determining who will be who in the policy of Nigeria, that institution is the one in charge of directing where the country is heading to. Because if you give power to the wrong people, and elections are not transparent, people who don't have the mandates, who don't have the people's backing, then you are going to push the country into, God forbid, into a very bad situation. Because we've seen it so many times in so many countries. We are all students of history. We know how bad elections have led so many countries into civil war. Bad elections have led so many countries into, have destabilized a lot of countries. We've seen it, so many countries, so many. So INEC should always make sure that they are top of their game. Elections are coming. You have elections every 4 years in Nigeria, every cycle. You must be prepared. After an election, don't go to sleep and 1 year to the election, you ask for budget and you start. No. An election, 2027 election, they should start test running whatever they have to test run. Start bringing in technology you have to bring in. Go understudy other countries that are able to use electronic devices. People are voting from inside their houses these days. They don't go and queue in the polling centers. They go and log into their phone and they cast their vote. So when you have those kind of electronic, you bring technology into the system, you are able to reduce fraud. You are able to reduce huge logistic, the amount you spend on logistics. Okay. Because you have to mobilize people to so many wards, so many this, so many that, and it's even time to even start thinking, okay, how do we capture the huge majority of Nigerian diaspora? People are leaving the country in droves. Through this, what they call Jackpot syndrome. People are leaving the country. So how do these people who are living abroad, how do they contribute? We know the power of the diaspora community in Nigeria in elections. You know, we know that if not for the diaspora community in many states in Nigeria today would have crumbled, because it is the money that the people from diaspora are bringing into the country, and they're sustaining many families today. Nigeria is in a state of I don't even know how to describe it.
All right.
You know, so these people who are contributing in 2020, they contributed over $25 billion as a remittance to Nigeria. Many of those money went into infrastructure at local levels, went into support of families, went to support for schools and so many things. So these people should have a voice in our election as well. So I need to capture them so that they can also vote.
That would be a topic for another day. Now, in this election, INEC cited one concern, security concern. They didn't hide it. They said, look, from the way we are feeling right now, this state, there seems to be hot spots for trouble. IMO, KOGI, even BAYELSA. What do you have to say about this?
I think security issues, whether security issue is something that is very important, be it an election period or not. As a citizen, your security ought to be guaranteed. But it is so painful that we have find ourselves in a country where I think security does not even matter. Because even the security agency, I don't think they are up and doing. They don't even carry out their job the way it ought to be done. Because these people also are also, I don't know how to put it, the so-called politicians now that the INEC are also complaining about probably brings money to them and all that. Also,
these are allegations, though.
I understand.
Yeah.
So nothing stops them from doing the same thing to the security agency. I've seen a situation where issue came up in the past presidential election. The security on ground, the security agency on ground, didn't do anything. So even some persons had to put a call across to inform the people or the security agency that this is what is happening here. But your people are here, they are not doing anything. Don't worry, we'll send more people on ground and all that. We waited, nothing. You understand? So the security agency should also call themselves to order to do the right thing at the right time, because this country is for every one of us. It is not just for one person. So if you fail in carrying out the duty that has been assigned to you, that means automatically you have failed that commission or that, how will I put it, the ministry you are representing. So you will see now that they will say security agency, they are not doing well. But you also see that there are some of them who are up and doing. But because the majority of those who are not doing well is much, then you see people just generalize it. You understand? I wouldn't want to mention them, but you and I know what I am talking about.
Well, I don't know, I'm not a mind reader, so I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about.
So you see some security agency, you see them maintain their standard. You see them maintain their principles. You also see some, they don't even care. They don't even want to know if there are laid down rules and principles to be followed and all that. So these give birth to fear. You understand? But for the issue of INEC saying security is their problem and all that, I don't think there is any election where security agents has never been deployed to any state during election. You hear thousands of police, thousands of army and all that has been deployed to a state. For instance, BAYELSA, IMO, and these other states, KOGI. The government of they won't fold their hand and allow election run without security agents not being posted or deployed to these states where elections will be carried out. So the issue is the security agents should carry out their duty well. Wherever you are being deployed to, do what you are asked to do there. Do it well.
Okay. There is allegation about security agents that some of them allegedly are influenced by politicians via money. Others are saying they're overstretched. That is the reason why you get to see some situation happen the way they ought not to happen in elections, whatever to say about it, because we have 11th of November here. Election must take place in these states.
Well, I mean, if a security agent is influenced by money, it tells you the kind of country that we are in. How many countries would you go to and see police officers collecting bribes on the road the way they do it in Nigeria? Openly. They're even collecting and giving change on the road. So how can you now say that those kind of security agents are people that you cannot compromise in elections? How can you look at police officers who are standing on roadblocks, collecting bribes in the full glare of everybody and giving change? They put in pocket, bring out change, count it and give out change.
But still, these are just allegations.
You can't call them allegations because Nigerians we have eyes. We see these things. People see it. You might call it allegations, you might call it, but people see these things. You drive around town, you see the behavior of security agencies.
Not all of them.
Particularly the police.
But not all of them.
Well,
we have some standard policemen that don't do that.
You can say that. I will not argue that at all.
Yes.
You can say that. But when you go around and you see this kind of system where people are openly compromised on the road like this, openly compromised. I think the kind of security agency that you now say that they will not collect money when it comes to elections. When you know that our elections are monetized.
Monetized in what way?
Yes, our elections are monetized. All from the primaries to the elections.
Election, yeah.
It's monetized. The huge amount of money we spend on elections in Nigeria. If we channel those monies into providing the basic infrastructure that Nigerians are lacking. Look at Nigeria today. We have no roads. There are no roads. You can't travel from point A to point B. It's difficult. You can't go from Benin now to Auchi, a journey which would have taken maybe an hour and 30 minutes or 2 hours. Now you are going to spend 7 hours on the road. Because there are no roads. The same story is from Benin to Warri, same story from Benin to Lagos, same story from everywhere. That's just one state in Nigeria. And it's almost the same thing everywhere. That's to tell you that there are no roads. We are not putting enough into infrastructure. But whereas when it comes to elections, the money that they didn't see for infrastructure, the money that the government does not have to fix roads, the money that they don't have to put into providing basic education, the money that they don't have to buy medicines in public health centers, the money that they don't have to provide for the people of Nigeria who are suffering right now, they will come out when it's time for elections. You see those monies will come out. You see them, they will start spending dollars for primaries. You hear them, this politician is giving us $40,000 per vote. This politician is giving us $30,000 per vote. This politician is giving us $20,000 per vote. In primaries. And when you put those monies together, you'll be asking yourself, where are these monies? So we have this kind of monies, and Nigerians are suffering, and Nigerians are hungry, and a lot of Nigerians are going to bed now, hungry. And the most saddest thing is that people are not even interested. Those who are in the helms of powers, in the hands of affairs, they are not interested. All they just want is to maintain and continue to have that power. And if you look at those in power in Nigeria, they are less than 1% of the population of Nigeria. Less than 1%. And look at how much we are spending. Nigerians are spending to feed them. Nigerians are spending to buy cars for them. Nigerians are spending to continue to live that lavish lifestyle that they are living. Look at them. Recently, you saw House of Reps members, look at the cars that they bought. Look at how much was spent in a country where so many children are out of school. Look at in Kano, in the north of Nigeria, you have over 10 million children, out of school children. In Nigeria, that's a disaster. That is more than the population of Senegal. Out of school. So what do you have in a country where you have 10 million out-of-school children roaming the streets? And you say that tomorrow you will not continue to have Boko Haram insurgents, you will not continue to have problems with security, when you are not able to train your children, you are not able to feed them properly, you are not able to educate them. But we have monies for elections. When it comes to elections, monies will come out, billions will come out. We have billions to give to INEC, we have billions to give to the police, we have billions to give to this and give to that.
Oh,
but
you mean money given to the security agents too for the election?
Of course.
Okay. All right. Farais, hold on. Hold on. But still, you get to hear this number of police, earmarked for this election for the states, military, NSCDC, all of this put together. But is enough to make sure that people are secured in elections? But how come we see experience this spate of violence in elections, whether it is also an election that will take place?
That is what we are saying now. You know, because there's a saying that says, he who pays the viper
dictates the tune.
Dictates the tune. If you have been given money for an assignment, definitely you have to compromise. That is why you see them, when you come to feed, even when things are happening, you see them fold their hands. Because their hands are tied already. You understand? Because they have already been given money. So I think the best way, most of the times, is if, for instance, this election that is coming up 11th of November now, the agency, the security agency per se, probably the ones from Benin, should be posted to, what is it called?
KOGI State.
KOGI State. Because it becomes an unknown face. So I think it will be difficult for you to also...
But they've done this several. The change commissioners changed this. And it was still the same. How come? They will change this one, point B to point A, but still we have the same thing. Insecurity. There's this allegation that somewhere along the lines of security agents will be there, and some particular political parties unleashing mayhem on the other. They won't say anything. They'll be looking at you.
That is what I just
they
said.
They say that is not our responsibility. Just go on there and vote.
That I just said. Because they have been bought over, they have to fold their hands and watch. It happens almost every time. Even in the the just concluded election, it happens. Where you see the police, the army, they fold their hands and watch people being beaten. People being pushed away. If you are not in party A, you are not allowed into the voting center. If you are not in party B, you are not allowed into the voting center. Okay, all party B leave the voting center. And the police, they were all there.
Wow. This is disheartening. And that is what INEC says is their fear. They've started insecurity in some of these states, and they've been crying out right now. If something has happened, hope nobody's going to blame INEC for this.
Wait, why do you think that? Why do you think that?
Because they are shouting now, security concern, do something about it.
Mr. Marshall, why do you think that
security
agencies will not be compromised in Nigeria? The average policeman in Nigeria earns maybe like 70,000 naira in a month. That's less than $100 right now. That's less than $100.
You're right about it.
That's less than $100 right now. So why would they not compromise? How much do we budget for the police in a year compared to what some states budget for politicians, for those in power? Compare it. So you have a police system that is completely underfunded. Sometimes they even have no money to buy petrol in their vehicles.
Of course.
Then you are saying those kind of police force should not be compromised. How? How are you going to do it? If you want to have a police system that is refined, that is clean, that works well for Nigerians, then you should be able to take money out and put into the police. Because you say to whom much is given, much is expected. You can't be paying somebody 70,000 naira in a month and expect the person not to be collecting bribes when a bag of rice is 60,000 naira. And this person might have 3 or 4 kids. He hasn't even paid school fees. And you are saying that same policeman should not collect bribes or should not be compromised. How? And you are spending huge resources buying vehicles for people who are even considered to be rich in Nigeria. We are taking care of the rich, the super rich. Whereas in the process, we have eroded the middle class. Right now in Nigeria, you have only the rich and the poor. Those who are super rich and those who are poor. Forget if you are driving Benz or anything, you are poor. Because if you have $1 million in your account right now, it's less than $1,000 right now. So that means you are not a rich man. So that's it. If you want the police to work in Nigeria,
what about those without 100,000 in their accounts?
That's what I said. That's why I said that we have the super rich and the poor.
And the poor.
The super rich and the poor. Because if you want the police to work, then we should be able to fund the police properly. And say, okay, if you are paying an average policeman 300,000 a month, you know that this is what the police earn. Then you provide housing for them. Just like they do in so many other countries. You provide barracks. The barracks are clean. They are well maintained. You have 247 electricity. They live there. When you see a policeman collecting bribe on the road, you know that he's a greedy person. So at that point, Nigerians can say, hey, because you are well paid. You have no business standing on the road collecting bribes from Nigerians. You should do your job because you are well paid. You are taken care of. Your kids are going to schools that are paid by taxpayers. You are living in almost like a free accommodation in the barracks. And you are paid 300,000 every month. Why should you be collecting bribes? So, if we're able to structure the police like that, then you cannot demand that the police should do their job properly. The police know what to do. They know. But because the level of poverty in Nigeria, the level of hunger, my brother, hunger can drive people to do things that they're not supposed to do. You see somebody who is a sane person start behaving like an insane person because of hunger. That is where we are. You see people on the road talking, they're just talking to themselves. That's what poverty has caused so many people in Nigeria right now.
All right.
Those are facts.
All right. All right. Well, we can just go on and on, but we'll call it a wrap right now on this segment. We're going to have another to talking about the Federal Character Commission, the appointment of President Bola Tinubu. But before we really take that break, what advice do you have for stakeholders in the forthcoming off-cycle election? I want to start off with you, Destiny.
Stakeholder. When you talk about stakeholders in this forthcoming election, I think it has to do with the parties, the political parties, per se, the candidates, the voters,
even INEC, security agents, everyone,
security agents, and all that. Let everybody do the needful. The needful in the sense that what is worth doing is worth doing well. If each and every one of us play our role the way it ought to be, then you see that the problem we are facing gradually will be reducing. If the political parties play their roles by engaging in campaign and all that, sensitizing the people, the reason or the need for them to come out, and choosing a sellable candidate. When I say a sellable candidate, somebody who is competent. You know, these days it is so painful that most of the times we now operate on nepotism, where you give power to people due to the relationship we have with them or friendship and all that, not on the basics of merit or ability. You understand? So if the political parties play their roles, the candidate also play his or her role, the voters come out in mass to cast their vote for their conscience. The person, whoever it is not who I support, you support. So if we come out in mass to cast our vote and wait to defend, I will never forget that. You also wait to defend your vote, like my brother said.
About convoy escorting 1 unit result.
You understand? Because if we decide to leave it in the hands of the INEC, nor the security agents or the party agents, these people, they cannot be trusted. They cannot be trusted. You understand? So the voters also have to play their roles. Likewise, the INEC, like we said, should also stand to play their role.
All right.
The international observers should also not be looked down on. All of these, if they come if they collaborate together to work together, to do the needful, to do what is worth doing, and it is done well, then you will see the election will go smoothly.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Destiny. Perez, your advice to stakeholders.
Well, like I always said, I will continue to advise the stakeholders. Nigeria is our own. Let's continue to do the right thing, the proper thing. We know what to do. The way Nigeria is going right now, everybody has to come here and say, okay, do we want to continue the country like this? Do we want to have a country as disorganized, a country that is not working? No. So everybody who is in a place of authority, whether it's INEC, whether it's the security agents, whether it's the political actors, whoever you are, it is time for us to sit down and say, okay, let's redefine our country. Let's rebuild our country. Let's work towards having a country that works for all of us, that works for our children. Are we happy to raise our kids in a country that doesn't work? In the 70s in Nigeria, we had those who benefited, who were born in the 70s or in the 60s, who grew up in the 70s in Nigeria. They benefited from free education system, free housing, free food in the schools, free hostels. You know, they came out from school and they got jobs immediately. Jobs were waiting for them. The naira was strong. They could travel anywhere with their passport there, anywhere in the country, visa free. I was going through some of my late dad's stuff. I saw one of my auntie's passports, which she used in going to the UK in the 70s. No visa. No visa. They just stamp it. Entry to London, stamp it out. You know? So things were good. Nigerians enjoyed it. So we have to put our heads together and work for and join hands to build a country that works for us. Nigerians go out and they are looked down everywhere. You carry your passport and they look at it like you're a criminal or something. You know? Because we've not been able to sit down and say we want to build our country. If you are in a place of authority, you are in a place where you are serving, do your job well. If you are a police officer, be a good police officer. If you are an army officer, be a good army officer. If you are an NF officer, be a good one. That is the only way we can change our country. That is the only way we can bring out the best in our country.
All right. Thank you so much, both of you, for your opinions. Well taken. Let's hope that INEC, security agents, and of course political actors, even the electorate, should do everything possible to make us proud in this off-cycle election. I believe that's going to have a lot to tell in the forthcoming election come 2027, because politicians, according to what I was told or thought, start thinking about the next election, immediately assumes office. Am I right or am I wrong? Because I'm here to learn. Yeah. You guys are politicians.
Yeah, correct.
As you went on thinking about the next election, so I am thinking about the next election. Haven't conducted this. Give us something nice. Give us something to give you kudos other than knocks. We want to go for a break. On return, we'll take a look at the appointment of Mr. President and, of course, the impact of Federal Character Commission. Don't go away.